Yeah, I've
All
never
right, here
done
we
that.
go.
Okay.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Fire Show. Hey, tonight I got a great guest, and we're going to be talking about trade school. Bill Bradford, all the way from the greater Pittsburgh region. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, I'm doing great. Great to
Good.
be with you, Dave.
All right. Hey, we'll be right after this video right here. See everybody very soon in about 1 minute. You got to admit, that thing is crazy.
Oh, I love it. It gets you pumped up.
It does. And I was telling everybody they know is, that Fever app. I've known this gentleman for a different country, Pakistan, I think, for over 1 year. And all I got to do is just send him the images.
Right.
And know each other right now so well that we can do one for $17.
Yeah. Oh, my.
And $5 tip.
Yeah. Fine. Fantastic.
It is. Hey, everybody. Tonight, I brought Bill on because it's such a great topic about trade schools. And we're going to go over some things that if you don't know. But, Bill, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do? And then we're going to go right into it.
All right. Bill Bradford out of the great Pittsburgh, PA. And I guess right now I sell software to the piping, plumbing, electrical, and sheet metal industries. But just to give a little history, I got out of high school and was going to go to college, and that wasn't for me. So I ended up going to a tech school, learning electronics. And then I got into the trades. So I worked for 22 years doing piping, plumbing, sheet metal, and electrical work for 6 buildings in downtown Pittsburgh at PPG Place. So I was on the maintenance crew there, learned all those trades. And then after 22 years of using the tools and climbing the ladders, I got into sales. So now I sell software that these piping, plumbing, sheet metal, electrical guys use to build buildings.
Right. That is awesome. And the subject, we talked about this numerous times, is with the trade school bills, with COVID and the shortages, what do you see? I wanted to bring it up as, what do you see the benefits of somebody that I say the millennials, going into a trade school if they're not prepared for college?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number one is money. You can get into an apprenticeship program, and I work with union companies. I work with non-union companies, but they all have training programs, right? So right out of high school, you can get into a training program, and typically they're 4 or 5 years, but it's on the job training. So they're paying a good wage, good benefits as they're training you. And again, that's for piping, plumbing, sheet metal, electrical. That is carpentry. Right. Not everyone's cut out to go to college. And, I was always pushed college. I took college prep classes in high school. Right.
Right.
But, I didn't go there. And now, these guys, girls, young, middle age, you can make some really good money, in the trades. And that's why, we don't have enough tradespeople right now. We really don't.
Well, when growing up, Bill, when you say that, is when I got out of the military, we went right into James River paper industry. So it was a huge factory. And what was nice about that was you just signed the sheet to learn a job. If you want to be an electrician trainee, just bid it. You bid it in the union shop. You bid it.
Sure.
And they trained you.
Yep.
So you could be anything you wanted in manufacturing back then. It didn't matter what. You just bid it and they taught you, All right, look at this. Who we got tonight? Oh, there he is. Bill, Steve, all the way from Utah.
Hey, Steve. Welcome, bud. Yeah, it's nice to see people get involved. And I tell you what, it's there's not enough trades people. Right. We see that. I work with contractors every day, And if I got paid $10 for every referral that I could give a contractor, to hire someone, I'd be rich. It's again, hey, Janie, all the way from Australia, right?
Yeah, she's in Australia. How you doing, Janie?
Wow.
Yeah.
What a ways. But yeah, these training centers, they do a phenomenal job. They pay you, and you can work with the tools, right? I worked with the tools for 22 years. One of the cleaner jobs, I sell software now to these guys that build models, 3D models, right? And hey, look who's that, my daughter.
There's your daughter. There she is.
Ayla B. How you doing, babe? So yeah, I sell software to the contractors that build these models. So if you're building a 30-story building, everything's built virtually, right? Before you go out in the field and actually build it. So the structure, the cement, the electrical, the piping, the sheet metal. So the software I sell builds everything virtually. And that's a really great job as well. I mean, you don't have to get out there and, use the tools and hurt your hands or your back. You can actually get into modeling where you're sitting in an office and it's almost like playing video games, right? And you're building a 3D structure.
That's the part that when you talk about it's not like saying you don't have to go to college, but there's options. And I don't think it's out there enough.
No.
To where the younger generation, if they want to say when they're out of school, because back in high school, we used to have classes, but
right.
Now they don't have that as much. And I don't think there's much of an investment. And I just wish that it would be seen more like maybe if they go to schools and say, hey, come to the trades, learn this skill and
right.
make a good income.
Yeah. And we do a really good job as I travel. Part of my job is, hey, Tuvia, is to visit some of the trade associations. So the schools and show them what we have with software. Looking back on my life, if I had it to do over again, I would have taken more of the automotive classes, mechanic classes in high school. I did take some, but I would have done that more. And I could even win half days, right, to an automotive school. And today I'd probably own my own automobile repair business because that's what I enjoy doing. But,
right.
So even in the trades, you get into the apprenticeship, you can actually own your own company.
That's what I mean. And a lot of people don't realize. And hey, Alberto, he's an awesome recruiter right here. This man here.
Where's Alberto from?
Alberto, you're actually, no, he moved to Florida. He's down by Florida now.
Oh,
so he just moved down to Florida now, I believe. So,
nice,
but he's a great recruiter. But the part there, Bill, what I said, I read this, it said, do I need a GPA for trade school? You still have to, and you can have a GED, but you still have to take some kind of skill testing.
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, back in the day when I was getting out of high school, my father's been in the sheet metal trade for, goodness, he's 83 now, but he retired. He probably had 50 some years in the sheet metal trades, right? So I got in there. I took the apprenticeship test back in 1981, and I didn't do well enough. I mean, there were probably at that time 300-400 applicants just in the Pittsburgh area, right? And I didn't do well enough. So I got into I became a stationary engineer, which meant, I worked in the buildings and did all the trades within whatever makes a building run. I worked on it. And so that's what I got into for 22 years.
Bill, what do you see would struggle? We all know short staff, but with trade schools and trades like you said, for plumbing, HVAC, everything that's going on, AutoCAD, everything that you've learned, how does it affect everything that's going on today with buildings and like construction? And
oh yeah, it's again, virtual reality. Anymore. Let's say you're going to have your office there, Dave, remodeled, right? So instead of someone making a mock-up of it or bringing drywall samples or wall covering samples or floor or ceiling samples, I could actually just draw up a 3D model, a representation of your office and say, hey, how do you like these white walls? How do you like the tile on the floor? How do you like the ceiling? And it's the same thing in the trades. I worked on projects years ago. There was a high-end hotel in DC that the contractor would actually build mock-ups. I mean, a physical room of the hotel, with the restroom, with the bed, with everything, right? In a warehouse. The owners would come over and look at it and say, I like it or I don't. Nowadays, you're on a computer, you have a 50, 60, 80-inch monitor, and you could build it right there and look at it. It's so virtual, seeing things virtually is amazing. And again, right now, the big thing is drawing it before you install it, right? So with my software, I can draw all the piping systems, all the duct systems, all the electrical systems in a 40-story building and do collision checking, right, to make sure it all fits in the ceiling, it fits, under the steel and under the cement slabs before you even have a shovel in the ground. So that's the key. These kids that like technology, like the computers, the
Right.
technology that we have that's available for these tradespeople is just unreal.
See, that's where, again, I don't, that's why I like this show like this, because it just brings awareness. Like if my son decides, if he's not a college material, let's just say, I would love for him to go into a trade, because the trade average for trade school is what, 2 to 3 years?
Now it's probably 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
3 to 5 years.
Yes.
For those trades like that.
Yes.
And what a lot of them don't realize is you can work them around your schedule too. It's like you can go to school and people still have to work.
Yep.
And the internships, because I had one here, Jenny, and she was going for HR and she designed everything for the company. So she had an internship. She got a great skill right off the bat, and now she's doing very well.
Yeah, this in these younger kids, when I go into these companies and talk to them about software, I kind of ask them, do you have one? And I don't mean to be, I'm on the older side. So these younger ones, there are older people too, but you ask, who's the high tech guy? Who's the guy or gal that really can use those, the iPhones or the technology, because they're the ones that usually champion these high tech products, right? And they can just grab it and run with it. And they get excited, to use those products.
Use them. Oh.
Yeah, so the trade schools, there's union and non-union. They both have fantastic training schools, that help men and women really learn the trades. And another thing, you work, and some of them frown upon this, but you know what? I know people that can make some extra money, when they're off. You can work your 40 hours a week and have your side business. Now, again, it depended on the trade and union, non-union, but you can make a nice living.
Well, they were saying, and what do you feel like, say HVAC is, we didn't realize even over here how bad it is and how hard it is to find HVAC.
Yep.
What do you think happened? Like even some of the trades, the plumbing, and you see it like for the fire companies, they're short firefighters because it's volunteer. Before it was the parents, then the generations. But what do you feel that's happened all of a sudden?
Well, it's they're aging out, right? Just like my father, he's 83. A lot of guys back in the 50s and 60s, got into the trades, and they're becoming older, and they're the ones that know all this technology. Well, they don't know the technology, they know the trades, right? So now we're trying to backfill the retirement, the people retiring within the trades. So I think the technology really helps attract the younger people.
Right.
But again, if school, all three of my kids will have master's degrees, so I know exactly what school costs.
Right.
And you have to, have to weigh the cost with what degree you're going to get, because if you go to school just for going to school, right, you don't come out with some specific degree,
right,
you're going to be hurting. Where you could come out of the trade apprenticeship, you're getting paid while you're training, but you'll come out making some of these guys, they're making, I could be making $70,000, $80,000 a year
just to start. And they were saying average tuition is like $3,000 to $15,000 a year.
Yep.
That's what it's saying average. And compared to, like, again, it's not saying not to go to college, but this is just an option for people, to go and like you said, start right off the bat and making a great salary. Where else are you going to do that? Sure. There's a lot of companies around us manufacturing. And I constantly say, where are they going to find the skill set? Do you see more companies in your line of business that are doing on-the-job training more now?
Well, it's tough. I would say some of the HVAC tech. Yep, I swung a lot of wrenches and a lot of electrical meters and got shocked a few times, many times, Alberta. But you know what? Repeat your question there again, Dave.
It was about saying about coming out of school, and do you see companies right now switching gears, like pivoting, like saying, okay, let's offer on-the-job training? A lot of people don't even know what that means. Yeah,
that's a tough thing. Usually in the trades, you're in the apprenticeship program or you're in the non-union training program, but that doesn't say there's college graduates that go to a two-year trade school or 2-year college or a 4-year college. They could even be engineers, and they get out and join a construction
Yeah, that was on
contracting
the
company.
list. That was on the list of some of the trade schools. I didn't realize
Oh
that
yeah.
some of that stuff is covered. I mean, that they work in those things.
Oh yeah.
Um, what do you feel like? Let's just take HVAC because that's really, I know that's such a shortage. What's the repercussions? What's got to happen, and what can happen like right now? With everything going on, what's it mean to us as a consumer, even?
Sure, sure. Well, again, everything's computers now, high tech, but everything from your household HVAC systems, right,
Yeah.
to a restaurant. You not only have HVAC systems, you have exhaust systems, you have cooking exhaust systems, high rise HVAC, but everything's computerized now. So to have the skills of computers and hands on, is big. And I think we talked earlier about a stat. I read somewhere yesterday, over the next 5 years, this I forget who the study was done by, but they're going to need 115,000 HVAC technicians over the next 5 years.
Oh wow!
And
Hey, how you doing, Daryl?
Hey, Daryl, that's just one trade, right?
That's one trade. And Daryl's out in Texas with the gig workers and all that stuff like that, and the shortage and what they're paying right now.
Sure.
How they're moving people out there, and he sends me articles all the time, and I'm like, how?
Right.
So
right.
What's happening like on the sales side software, but then you got to have the people to be able to do the labor.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that's just really going to is it going to slow down sometime, or it's going to slow down or pick up?
You know what? Right now, it depends what region. I have 15 states in the U.S., so it depends what market. But technology, I think, really helps do a better job, a much better job, because a lot of these contractors are bidding work, right? And some work's hard to come by, so your margins aren't what they used to be. So the technology that we have that they're using helps them bid better, right? Helps them model. You use modeling software to model better. Prefabrication is big. So in these shops, if they can model it, they can actually prefab it, right? So you can have a whole underground piping, plumbing system, and you can pretty much fabricate it in your shop, ship it out on rollers, lift it up, and install it. There was a huge company, or actually a hospital, that was just almost completed here in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And the mechanical and the electrical contractors are customers of mine, and they prefabbed. I mean, it was about it had to be like a 12 by 12 rack. And within that rack, they probably had 50 feet of piping, ductwork, electrical, drywall. And they would take it into the hospital, lift it right up to the ceiling, right? And mount it on the ceiling and go, one after another. And, again, your shop labor is much less expensive, right? Because it's controlled. It's not going to rain. It's not going to get hot. It's not going to get cold, right? So prefabrication is a key. So this all intertwines.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So it all intertwines, that the trades, they're all prefabricating to get better. So you have these guys in the shop, or actually the modelers, right? The estimators win the project. The modelers virtually build the project. The guys in the shop can prefab what was modeled, and then that prefab gets sent out to the job site, and the guys in the field install it. So
do you see some of the, I don't want to say kids or millennial, do you see some of them graduating, coming out of their classes and what they're doing?
Oh yeah.
Starting out?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to the trade schools here in Pittsburgh. I have some non-union ones across the country, and yeah, I mean, they're doing great. Some of them, again, are going to college and then getting in with a company. They have the engineering background, for building these buildings. But a lot of these ones, we give free software away to the trade schools, the colleges, because we want to teach, these younger guys and gals.
So they are recruiting. They have to recruit. I mean, they have to go after that.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's some big companies that, go to these schools, and they have to recruit. Right. Absolutely.
That's what I mean. And it's like, I don't know, like I said, trade, like plumbers, even like we talked about plumbers, I didn't realize manufacturing, construction, fashion, beauty, food, everything is in the trades.
Yeah.
Everything that we see, everything short-staffed, even in our area, is a trade skill. Sure. It's not a college. I don't want to say that, but it's not college education that they're short for welders.
Right.
Welders that's another high demand right now around here. Welders, they can't find them. Tack welding, they can't find them.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to be good. I have a nephew that he's working out your way, and he has a 4-year degree in welding. So he does inspections. He does high tech government welding. Who would think you'd have a 4-year degree in welding? So, I mean, that's the high end of it, but you do have welders in the trades as well. And it's a skill. I welded many years ago, but it's a skill to flow that weld properly and have it pressure tested,
Right.
For 100, 300,000 PSI. You can't afford to have a bad weld.
That's what I mean. And I look at, like, where Darrell is, like, in Texas, even where they get everybody, like, where are they finding them? Right. And do you see any companies, like, what's happening because there are a shortage? Like, is it like they have to slow down the building process, or like in the software that you're doing, but you can design it, but if you don't have anybody to do it.
Right. You know what? Lately there haven't been many people loafing, at the union hall. So,
right.
Everyone's working now. I will say, from the time I took the apprenticeship test till now, there might be a little more leniency, right?
Right.
The threshold may be a little bit lower to get in, but they need skilled people. We need skilled people. And again, last year or two, we're just starting to, I think, make an impact. And the locals here in Pittsburgh are phenomenal. I've been to some in Pittsburgh. I've been, out your way. Chicago has some great locals, Wisconsin, and they do. I mean, these trade schools are just, if you drive by any of them, you'll see they look like a Taj Mahal. But I tell you what, they do a heck of a job in training these guys and gals.
So do they all, when they come out of the trade school, they still have to do an apprenticeships and type of jobs like this?
Well, the trade school, what I'm kind of talking them some honestly, the
right.
trade school is the tech school is the apprenticeship. The 3 to 5 year is the trade school. So they come out as a journeyman. They go in their first year and they're getting paid, and then go to night school or however it's worked out. But when they come out, they're a full-fledged journeyman, and if they did a good job, they'll get a good job, and
they'll get a good job.
They'll get hired. Yeah.
Janie, in Australia, we're so short-staffed in trades over here.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah,
it's probably everywhere like that. Yeah. And I had a question for you before when I had Googled it. Was now hey, it's Google, but every time I Googled it, one of the higher paid best trades is an elevator mechanic and installer.
That's Why? Crazy. Yeah. Now, when I was a stationary engineer for 22 years in Pittsburgh, we had all of our HVAC guys, we had electricians, we had our plumbers, and we had elevator guys. So there was one guy that he was a genius with elevators, and he, we had I think there was maybe 40 elevators in 6 buildings. And they just knew how they worked. Now, back then, they're more electronic now.
Right.
But there was a time, our 40-story building, they're high-speed elevators to get the executives to the 40th floor, right? Well, one time, the elevator went up and it over-traveled, and it got stuck above the 40th floor, right? So I'm a 19 or 20-year-old kid, so we go up in the elevator next to it, and I climb out of the elevator over the shaft into the other elevator, make sure that the people in there were okay. And one lady was injured. The way it jammed and stopped, she got hurt. But
right.
What I'm getting to, then you had the elevator, the guy that was there, he brought in his crew, and they worked feverishly to kind of rescue those people out of the elevator. But yeah, it's an amazing, and they do escalators too. When you go to the airport, same thing.
I guess they got to send them out. Daryl's saying here with pipeliners, they're making up to $65 an hour.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah.
And that's what he's saying there. And he sends me a lot of information, and that's because they always break down. That's the truth. In Australia, I didn't know they had, Janie. I didn't know they had elevators in Australia. One of the other things that I wanted to mention was that some of the trade school actually find the jobs for you.
Oh yeah. Well, again, in the trade school is one thing. Where it's a privately owned trade school, yes.
Right.
They get interviews for you. They help you. Now, the apprenticeship, you're already working for the companies, right? The union or non-union companies.
All right. Can you go back and explain that part right there when you're saying so apprenticeship versus?
Yeah. So
Some of that.
trade school would be, XYZ electrical. You'd go there, you'd pay them your 5 or 10 grand for 16 months. You'd learn electrical, or you'd
Right.
learn HVAC. So you come out with an associate's degree, right, in that specific trade. And then you're applying, or they have placement programs at the trade school. They try
Right.
to get you a job before you get out. The apprenticeship, again, you're going in your first year, you're working part-time or full-time
while you're going to school.
while you're working for the company. Right. So when you go through your first, second, third, fourth, and sometimes fifth year, the companies know who is in their apprenticeship program, right? Because they're already working. So as they get out of the apprenticeship, they've got a job.
So once they go and, like, say, sign up 1 year of school, they could actually, then they go right to work as an apprentice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right out of high school, you can become an apprentice. Yeah. I have a friend, a neighbor friend, his daughter just went into the electrical apprenticeship program. You don't see a lot of women, but she went into that and she loves it. I have another friend, his son is in the carpentry union apprenticeship program.
Right.
They love it. Yeah. It's exciting. If you're not from the trades, you don't know, but it's exciting to build something or draw something, right? Or, my kids make fun of me all the time. I'll go into an office building or a restaurant. What's the first thing I do?
Yeah. You probably
I'm
look at everything.
I'm looking at the ceiling. And they're like, oh, Dad, or my dad will be with me. And we're both looking at ductwork hanging off the ceiling, right? It's just because that's what we do.
That's what you do. And that's why I try to tell some of I'm going to keep saying it, kids or whatever, but to show them that there's something different. Like around here, there's so many thousands of logistic jobs, logistics.
Right.
But I try to explain, like when I was in the paper industry, let me tell you, that was so huge, those machines, and you would make that little adjustment. Oh, yeah. You would know, and you learn from that guy that had 30 years at the paper. He could taste the paper and know whether it's good off the machine. He would. He'd be like, nope, you got to do this. And we're like,
right.
But you learn from such skilled people that have been in the industry. Sure. But my point was, it's something, I don't know, you fixed it. You got some really good feeling out of it, because if you did, you worked hard.
Yep. Or you build it. I mean, these people, my dad worked on the U.S. Steel building here in Pittsburgh back in 1970. He built the Three River Stadium that's no longer here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he talks about being on the 70th or 67th floor of the U.S. Steel building with no barriers around the end, looking over the side. I mean, so it is neat that you walk by these places and you say, man, I was part of that. And a lot of these high-tech buildings, going up in Vegas or Philly, I worked on the Comcast tower, the second Comcast tower in Philly. I sold software to a company that made I sold a ductwork product at the time that they installed. It was $1.8 million worth of this specific ductwork they installed in that tower. So it was pretty cool. I finally got to visit it about 2 years ago, and I just walked in there. Of course, I couldn't see anything, but I walked through there, and I'm just thinking that ductwork I sold is behind those walls.
Is behind it, and that's the satisfaction and just something out of the job that you get. And again, that's what I miss about it. Another thing was, let me see. All right, stay current. Oh, so in the fields, I don't want to say like HVAC and all the plumbing. Do you have to keep a license or upgrading education? You have to go out for more.
Sure. I mean, the apprenticeship, again, union, non-union, they all have certain things you have to do, almost like engineers. You have to get so many hours in. So yeah, you have to keep your license or keep your skills honed. And there's always continuing education for sure. And technology changes, in the last 10 years. I mean, technology now, there's a product. It's a Boston Dynamics makes it. It's a robot. It's like a dog, and scanners and equipment can go on top of it, and actually can walk up steps. It can walk job sites. It's amazing.
That's got to be crazy.
Yeah, so technology has really helped get better, get more efficient, in the trades.
Now, were all the states where you're traveling, you're going around the East Coast and all that, do you see certain states that are struggling right now for trade skills?
Some. A lot of hospital work, a lot of university work in Ohio, around Ohio State University. I mean, they're building another medical tower, 26 floors right now. They're building a soccer stadium. They're building the largest Hilton hotel in Columbus, the most rooms, I think, in the world. They're putting a new tower onto an existing tower. So certain regions for sure. I go up into Canada as well. And Canada is not far behind the U.S. So yeah, certain states, certain regions are more active than others. Yeah.
That's what I can imagine. And, I can't thank you enough, Bill. Geez, 30 minutes. That was pretty good. I can't thank you enough. And the main thing I wanted to get through, if anybody's watching this, I'm always going to say millennials, younger is, like you said, it's not all about the college. You have options.
Yes.
Options. And going back to that, when you said you do signing, you have to take like math, and they give you a basic skill set, right? And then you have to learn. You got to pass that before you go.
It's not easy. Yeah, it's not a walk in the park. You got to be sharp. Absolutely.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you take a test and you get in. And again, it depends on how many people they need. But yeah, locally. And I encourage anyone out there, if you have interest, let me know. I can point you in the right direction. But in any city, if you pull up the trades or local unions for all the trades that we're talking about,
right,
it's just an option. Again, it might be for some people. It may not be for some people, but it's an option.
I mean, my father was like, "You're going to the industry, paper industry, get in there." We were all there, and it was like, okay, right out of the military. I said yes, and now I had to say yes to that. But I miss it. I miss that kind of work, again, because it was just rewarding, I should say. And Alberto, I wish there were sales classes. I think sales just comes to you. I don't think there is any kind of learning for sales.
Right. I tell you, Dave, too, but the 22 years, my hands, I can feel it. I mean, I do miss that physical labor. But just like my dad, his hands, I feel it from the years of swinging tools and climbing ladders, and we did some crazy things. So I enjoy, the cleaner sales, travel software. I put my time in.
I can't imagine. And again, everybody, please reach out to Bill, connect with him on LinkedIn. He will help you. And, on any kind of questions, I guarantee it. Bill, I want to thank you. Always come on the show. This is the first time having you on it.
Yeah, you do a great job. I enjoy watching it. Yeah.
Thanks. And I enjoy it just to bring the awareness, because I wish here in this area, again, with some of this manufacturing, I wish they would just try to get the generation into the place. Let them see it. Tours. I always say, set up some tours. Let the people or the candidates see what they want to do, and maybe they'll like it.
And we do that with the trade, the union halls and the training facilities.
Oh, they do.
There's open houses every year. Yeah.
Wow.
Have kids, and we say kids and millennials, but there's all ages. They're open for people. So absolutely, they have open houses. We have one coming up. I think in August or so here in Pittsburgh. But yeah, if you Google them, you'll be quite impressed with the training facilities that these organizations have, union and non-union, for sure.
Union, non-union. Hey, Jane, awesome, Bill Brad. Thanks, Janie, and I hope everything's great over in Australia for you. Yeah. I love it knowing somebody's from Australia that you're talking to.
For sure.
So again, Bill, thanks so much. And and if you want to explain one more time what you do, where you're located at, I always like to end it that way.
Yep. Out of Pittsburgh, PA. Right now I sell 3D CAD modeling software for building buildings, constructing electrical, piping, plumbing, and sheet metal systems. But the reason I came on was just to express that we need more people in the trades. And
that's awesome.
We need workers.
That's Alberto. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. But Bill, I'm going to talk to you right after this. And thanks, everybody. And we will see you soon. Take care, Bill.
All right. Bye-bye.